Hey everyone, George here with Wine Industry Network. Welcome to another episode of the Win Insider Series. And we've got a really fun one today. I'm going to be interviewing Raquel Royers. Raquel is a social media influencer. Her site, WatchMeSip, WatchMeSip.com. She's an influencer, she's a marketer, she's a storyteller, she's a sommelier, and just all around very interesting person. So I think you're going to really enjoy today's interview. Raquel's also going to be speaking at the North Coast Wine Industry Expo on December 4th in Santa Rosa. That's wineindustryexpo.com if you want to learn a little bit more about her session. And I can tell you, it's going to be a good one. So sit back and enjoy the interview with Raquel. Raquel, thanks for joining us today on the Insider Series.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I'm super psyched that we're having this conversation. You're going to be speaking at our expo on December 4th. So we're going to talk a bit about that. But just in doing my research about you, you got a lot going on.
I do. I'm a busy gal.
No doubt about it. I'm really curious about that. We're going to get into that. But what's fun about this, a lot of times these insider series are people, because I've been doing this, I've been in the industry for a long time. A lot of times it's like reconnecting with people that I have worked with or done business with. But every once in a while, I get a situation like this, and we've never met.
No.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Well, let's do this. Let's start at the beginning, because I'm always curious about people's journey into wine. So you grew up in Chico, and
Yes,
you went to school in Chico as a journalism major.
I did. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. Was it like something you always envisioned? Did you want to be a writer? What were your thoughts back then?
Yeah. The dream as a child was to be a news anchor. For whatever reason, I just wanted to be on TV and kind of stuck my feet in the journalism path and loved telling stories. I think that's what it mostly boiled down to.
Yeah.
So went to Chico State, got my degree in journalism, news editorial, and then a minor in photography. Um, and first job right out of college was a crime reporter. So jumped right in.
Where did you do that? Where were you doing? Where were you a crime reporter?
Redding, California.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. And I saw you work. Did you work in like for a little publication in Anderson Valley as well? I was looking at your LinkedIn.
Yes, that's where I started. So I started a newspaper, and then interviewed for the local news station, and quickly realized that maybe this wasn't the path that I wanted to go down. And I was again good at telling a story, good at writing, photography, and so that's what led me more into a marketing route.
Yeah. So you jumped into the wine industry. Did you grow up with wine? Was that something that was always sort of on your radar? Like, how did that
Oh,
happen?
no, yeah, my parents were not big drinkers. Every now and then they'd have a margarita or a beer. And personally, though, I started getting interested in wine, and even worked in a little tasting room in Northern California one summer just to see if it was something that I liked. And then deep into a bottle one night, as most great ideas happen, I turned it around and read the story on the back of the label. And in that moment, I said, I could do that. If you don't grow up in wine country or knowing somebody that works in the wine industry, a lot of times you don't know that this is a career path or a career opportunity. So I never thought about wine. And so in that moment, I went on winejobs.com, and that's where I found my next job. And within 3 weeks, I moved to Napa, and I had never been to Napa before. So
Yeah. It is funny what leads people down that path. I didn't grow up with wine either. I grew up on the East Coast, and I came out to California when I was my early 20s, graduated from school. And for me, it was like I kind of just fell in love with the area.
yeah.
And I live in Sonoma County, I live in Healdsburg. And my plan when I first got here was to land and then go to San Francisco. But it was just, I don't know, like I said, I kind of fell in love with the area and decided, hey, why not check out get a job at a winery? And next thing you know, it's like 30 years later, and here I still am.
When the wine bug bites you, it
Yeah,
bites hard.
it does bite hard. There's something about it. It's the part of it's the lifestyle. A
Yeah.
lot of it's the people. You
Mhm.
know, I think a lot of it for me was like the different people that I've gotten to work with and become friends with over the years. You know, that makes it kind of special.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was that Trinchero, that first job?
Yes,
Yeah.
so I landed at Trinchero. Had no idea at the time, what a large wine company it was, and
Yeah.
really it was the best place to cut my teeth and learn about the industry. I worked on really, really large wine brands, and then smaller, more luxury wine brands. So within that time, I managed about 25 different brands, and their digital and social media. So it was
Okay.
a great place to start. And within that is when I started actually studying wine, as well as I started my Instagram account, WatchMeSip, and that was the beginning of that journey.
Oh, I didn't realize you started Watch Me Sip that early. So you were just sort of sharing your journey, right? Your experiences on a pretty regular basis. And did you have the intention when you were doing that, like, hey, I'm going to grow my own audience and that might turn into something down the road? Or what
No
made you
way.
do that?
No, I had moved to Napa. I knew nobody. Um, and it was again, I was learning all these new things and was thrown into wine country and just thought, this place is amazing. I want to post about it and share about all these wineries I'm going to with my friends. Like that was the intention. My page was public and it I started having strangers reach out to me asking where they should go wine tasting. And so, in about 2018, I changed the name of my Instagram from just my name to Watch Me Sip, then with the intention, once I started getting some followers, and I was like, oh, I guess I better make this an actual thing. And then the blog also was created. And that's where I became more intentional about actually sharing wine tips, winery recommendations, wine travel.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, I mean, I guess that's consistent with you know, the fact you like to tell stories, right? So you like, this is your storytelling. It's just, you're telling your story, right? So pretty cool. Now, I want to keep chasing your wine career a little bit. So you worked from Trinchero, then you worked for Clos. For what were you doing? Was it all like social media, managing their social media for the brands?
So at Trinchero with social, and then, as digital started increasing for marketing efforts, I started running just all of the digital. And so encompassing, digital ads, social media marketing, influencer marketing, all the gamut. And then for Clos, I moved to Clos because I realized my passion really lies in more luxury, smaller, family-owned brands. And so loved my time at Clos, really love the wines. So I like working and talking about wines that I truly believe in. And so Clos was such a great fit. There I did everything. As you know, when you work in wine, your job description or, your title is merely just that. So everything from traditional marketing to advertising to sometimes, helping when fruit came in on the sorting line. You do a little bit of everything. And I loved that though, because I got to see every piece of the industry.
Yeah, no, I think that's fun. I think to your point, like there's always something that's coming up that's completely unexpected, right? You have to just drop
Yeah.
everything and just do because that's just the winery life.
Yeah.
So you did a little stint with Quintessential. So you got all of a sudden you started to venture in kind of more of the wholesale broker world.
Yeah.
Um, and then you work for his Distill Ventures,
Mhm.
which was, I don't know anything about Distill. I kind of like looked into it a little bit, but that looked really interesting. So tell me about that company and what you did there.
Yeah, so I was recruited into spirits, and so worked at Distill Ventures for a little over 4 years. And essentially, it was like the Shark Tank, but for booze, is how I like to easily describe it. So we would help grow small brands, and then they would be acquired by Diageo in the end. So, Mr. Black, Coffee Liqueur, if you've ever heard of them, we were behind the start of that. Same with Ritual Non-Alc and a lot of other amazing brands. So it was really neat to work directly with founders and advise them on the funding they received and how to best spend it to be successful with their marketing strategies.
Now are they based out of
London.
London? Okay. So were you doing a lot of travel at this point?
Yeah, yes. So headquarters in London, but had a whole North America team.
Okay.
But to meet with all the founders, we had founders in California, Texas, Chicago, New York. I was in Miami a lot for a lot of rum brands. So
Yeah.
it was really neat. Yeah,
The spirits world's a little bit different.
it
I mean,
is.
it's a lot. It's a lot of money there. I know I worked my last winery job. I worked for Jim Beam when Jim Beam had the
Yep.
wine division, and yeah, the different world, different marketing budgets. I mean,
Those marketing budgets are no joke. Even for the smaller brands that are coming on the scene, I think there's just this realization to reach today's consumer, you need a different strategy, and they're not afraid to put their money first.
no, they're not, and they're also not afraid is to be bold in their marketing and in their packaging and in their storytelling. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
it, there's certainly things that the folks do on the spirit side that we should be paying a lot of attention to. Um,
Yeah.
they're having fun too while they're at it, right? So it's like, and I read
Very
something
fun industry. Yeah.
in one of your I don't know if it was like Watch Me Sip or in the creative sip marketing where you talk about making wine fun, right? And I feel like I say that all the time. I think it's like one of the simplest things that we can do, but I think one of the most important things as an industry we've sort of gotten away from. And I'm not sure how we get back to it, but we need to do something different.
Yeah. Wine is fun and it's meant to be enjoyed with
Yeah.
others, right? Yeah.
So now I want to kind of next step in the evolution, right? Now you've got your businesses going, right? So you go off on your own. So you've got Watch Me Sip going, right? So that's sort of an organic business, if you will, that sort of came up from you just sharing your story. And then you created creative sip marketing. Did that start? When did you start that officially?
So that actually started during COVID,
Okay.
like so many other people's consulting businesses, right?
Yeah.
So, being in marketing in the wine industry, I knew I could help other small producers, wineries with reaching their consumer. So I've done some consulting with different wine brands, producers, and so really, that's on the side. Now, Watch Me Sip. This within the last like 2 years has become more of a priority for me. I love still advising and offering value within that space if it comes up, but mostly working on Watch Me Sip at the moment.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, I'm going to ask you, how did you balance both, right? Because they both seem terribly time consuming, especially, when taking on clients, right? Because you want to do a good job. But then all the content that you're creating around Watch Me Sip, whether you're promoting, best places, best wineries in Paso or Sonoma or Healdsburg or you're going to these different regions. So what people should do if you go to Italy. I mean, I don't know how do you do that? Are you just like a super organized person?
No, I'll be honest. I'm a little type B, actually. Maybe that's why it works. It's organized chaos.
Yeah.
And I think it's just mostly stems from passion. I do work around the clock, but it doesn't feel like work a lot of the times because it's something I love so much.
Yeah. But even your posts are like, I mean, it's not just taking a picture, right? You're doing
Yeah.
animation, you're doing some voiceover. I mean, it's like you've got to be putting a lot of thought into this. I mean, it's just not
Yeah.
you're not just winging it.
No, no. And I'm glad it doesn't come across as that.
No, that I think that's great. Tell me about some of the like the destinations where you go to, you're traveling, you're sharing your adventures that way. Or do you wind up like working with like the local associations? Like, how does that come about?
Yeah, it depends. I think there's a few different ways. So I was recently in Italy for 2 weeks. I did a solo trip to Italy. And halfway through, I was invited on a media trip to Chianti Classico. So I worked with the consortium there, and that was amazing. So there's trips like that happen where you're invited out to a region and you work with whatever group is representing them. Otherwise, a lot of my travel is simply because I want to cover destinations so I can share that information with my followers. So a lot of trips I do to other wine regions within the states, is simply just for content creation sorts for my business. But then I do work with a lot of wineries and regions on actual more formal partnerships.
Do you feel like you're targeting like our younger consumers? Is that sort of your target market? And What do you think you're doing differently that's driving that engagement that, like our winery associations maybe could be doing better?
Like you said earlier, my ultimate goal in what I do is to make wine fun and approachable because I think so many people are intimidated by wine, and that's unfortunate. And a lot of those people are the younger generation. And that's simply because of the way that wine traditionally has been marketed and advertised. So, my goal is to change that narrative and show that wine is a product that's meant to be enjoyed and it's not scary at all, and that's by breaking down certain jargon or highlighting different regions or different wineries that are doing things differently. Um, and I think a lot of that is going back to just telling the story of the producer and the winery, um, and as well as creating some sort of experience. I think that's what we're all looking for is an experience and a memory to take with you after visiting a wine region, having a bottle of wine somewhere. Can you tell a story after? And how does it make you feel? And ultimately, I think like that's my goal in everything.
Well, and I agree with you. And I think that, if you ask people who, now that maybe like, our older generation, they're starting to age out. When they tell their stories about how they got into wine, a lot of them have the same beginnings we did. They didn't necessarily grow up with wine, but they went to visit wine country, on the weekends and started learning a little bit. But if you ask them like, well, what was your first wine? Or they don't remember that, but they remember like visiting Corbel and going on a cool tour, or being somewhere in the Napa Valley and just enjoying a beautiful sunset. But it's the experience, right, that resonates with them, and that feeling, which I feel like, and I don't know how we solve this. We talk a lot about we needing to find better ways to engage with our younger consumers, but it's like it's not a cheap date anymore to come to wine country in Sonoma and Napa for a 30-year-old, 30-something-year-old. I mean, that the hotels are expensive, the restaurants are expensive, the tasting fees can be quite expensive, and the wines are expensive. So it's like I don't know how we solve that, but it's not helping.
Yeah. I agree. And that's often, with what I do, I get a lot of feedback, which is great from people and have a whole database of people asking me certain questions on certain regions.
Yeah.
And lately, I have a lot of people asking me about Paso and Willamette and, certain wine regions that often in the past weren't as popular as like a Napa or Sonoma. But I think it's a reflection of the economy and,
Yeah.
yeah, more accessible experiences. So, and I don't think that's something we can't change. I think that it's simply reframing the way that we think about speaking to our consumers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny. I did a little interview with Joel Peterson, who runs a Paso Wine Alliance, and
Mhm.
I was asking about how things are going down there, and they're not. I mean, everybody's down a bit, but I don't think they're as down because it's still quite friendly, especially from a price perspective.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think we can change. I think we're gonna. I mean, hopefully, we're going to see more wineries. I think certainly over in Sonoma County, who are going to find ways to waive these tasting fees and make it a little, ourselves a little more accessible that way. But we had our sales and marketing conference in May, and when I was, welcoming the audience, one of the things I highlighted was like, especially around here, we do not have a product problem, right? Our product is good. Our growers are doing a great job in the vineyard. Our winemakers are making fantastic wines, excuse me. Um,
Yeah.
it's a marketing issue we've got, right? So what levers do we have to pull? Like our packaging, our pricing, our promotion. What are we saying? Where are we saying it? How are we saying it? And that's the part that we have complete control over. The
Mhm.
pricing thing is a little bit tricky because we do have costs. Um,
Yeah.
but I do think that we're going to look back on this time, and I've said this before, as we do emerge from the place that we are now as industry. I do believe that we're going to look back and go, you know what? That was a really hard thing, but it turned out to be a really good thing, right? Because we got more innovative. We were willing to embrace change a little more. Um, some people are gonna, they're kind of done with that dream, that chasing that dream, right? They're ready to like kind of move on to whatever's next, which I hope brings in some fresh energy and some fresh faces, some fresh ideas, um, and start to shift us back in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree.
So at the event, this is kind of a mouthful. You're on one of our panels,
Yeah.
and it's the next gen wine. And again, this is a mouthful. How wineries can win with the modern consumer through influence, identity, and occasion. Um, what are you hoping that people leave with after attending a session like this?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could speak on that for hours, right? So I'm gonna try to condense everything into that time. But I think, having worked for large wineries, small wineries, the biggest takeaway, I would want people to have hope because I think right now there's just so much doom and gloom about the industry. And that's the last thing you need to hear again, right? Okay, so we know the state of the industry. How do we fix the problem? Like, what's something tangible that we can go back to our teams and say, hey, let's reshift maybe our ideas on the way we're communicating our experiences or the way we're talking about our new wine releases. So my hope is for, everybody that's on that panel with me that we give some excitement to the audience on ways that they can actually move forward with something where they'll be able to see some like positive success from. That's my hope. And within that, we'll cover some different marketing strategies where consumers are right now and what's landing with them. And, when you are showing up online and trying to reach them, what are some strategies that you can take away and use literally the next day?
Well, and I really think that, I mean, in some ways, well, not in some ways, I guess the way that the internet has evolved, I mean, it's a level playing field. You could be a tiny little
Yeah.
person and getting your story out there in a way that you never could. It was cost prohibitive, right, to be able to promote yourself the way that you can promote yourself now. And what I love about how how the marketing has evolved, it's just so easy, right? And people don't want things that are overproduced. I think that's why people like you do really well because you're just very real. And I think for a lot of wineries, and this is what people love about coming to wine country, especially if they can spend a little time with the key people, whether they're owners or the managers or whoever. They just get a kick out of like what it's like to work in the wine industry. So, hey, let's just find the time to share it. I think a lot of people they just don't find the time. I mean, or they're nervous. I don't know.
It is hard. It's hard to create content. And that's why not everybody does it. If everybody could and it was easy, everybody would be an influencer, right? And what I always tell people is there's so much gold in what you do every day as a winery or a winemaker or producer that is overthought because it's your everyday. But to somebody who's sitting in Michigan and is dying to go back to Napa, would love to see the grapes coming in, would love to see them hanging on the vine, would love to see harvest or just the changing of the seasons or glimpse of your new experience because well, that's our everyday living in wine country, and we're so lucky. It's not everybody else's every day. So really it's content gold. It's just then what do you do, once you have that content?
Yeah, it's a commitment, right? You've got to be committed to it. You've got to be putting stuff out there on a regular
Yeah.
basis. I think, we work on Wine Industry Network. We work with a lot of industry vendors, and that's where we drive most of our revenue from. And for us, we don't sell. I mean, we have some advertising that we sell, but mainly it's content marketing, right?
Mhm.
So, Mr. Cork Guy, Mr. Barrel Guy, Mr. Tank Guy, and we've got. What are you working on? What do you want us to share? Because we've got the vehicle to do that, but helping them create that content is just a challenge, and people just. I
Yeah.
think a lot of times they find excuses not to do it. There's always
Yeah.
something else to do, but you got to do it.
And most people now, today's consumer is using TikTok and Instagram as their search channel. Like they no longer go to Google. They're going to type in TikTok, best Napa winery, best cinema experience. So, and again, like you said, it's a free platform for you to be there and to show up, as a search result. So if you're not utilizing that, it's definitely a miss.
Hey, let me ask you this, like, 'cause I'm curious now. You've been at this for a while. even in the, the influencer world, have your how have your tactics evolved? The way that you are doing things now versus how you were doing them, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago?
Completely different. I've had to completely evolve and adapt with social media because it's ever changing. It started as posting a picture and that was enough for the app. And now we've all had to learn how to be videographers. I didn't go to school for video. I went to school for writing and photography, right? But so I think it's just being able to roll with the punches, realize that things are changing every day, and knowing it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's kind of what people like right now, right? Like you said, the raw authenticity. People want to see the behind the scenes kind of content where it's not perfect, where it doesn't look like a professionally shot advertisement. There's a time and a place for that, obviously, but I think with what holds so many people back is like, oh, it's not perfect, I shouldn't post it, or oh, I don't have the time to edit it. Just throw content up there because that's truly what people want to see. They don't want to see the over edited piece of content. Advertising, your new bottle release or new label, they want to see how that label was created and the printing of it in the background. So that's where it's like just reframing the way that you should like think about these things and shifting that perspective.
So is that hard for you, like not to be too critical of yourself? Like, do you watch like
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
shoot like a little video of yourself, like you talked about going on this solo trip. So I don't know if you've got, you're just propping the phone up and talking to the phone, but do you go back and go, oh, I got to do that again? Or you just go, it's not perfect, but that's okay. How do you deal with that?
It's been a battle. Absolutely. Especially because I do come from the era of, perfect Instagram photos where I spent hours editing. So it's been a shift for me, but the times that I do come on and film something and it took me 30 seconds, first the one that I took hours on,
Yeah.
usually goes better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know like for me, like I will not watch this interview. Like after I
Yeah.
give it to the guys to edit it up, like I have a hard time watching. I probably should so they get better,
Yeah.
but I have a hard time doing it because it's like I can't
People's
do anything
attention.
about it, and I don't want to be too critical.
Yeah, people's attention spans are so short too. So, it's how do you grab them in 1 second?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it's become. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm really glad that we got a chance to spend a little bit of time together. So I want to give you a chance to plug yourself. I know that Watch Me Sip is sort of your main thing, but you're still available to help people if they want some help. So for people that want to get a hold of you, like what should they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on any of the social accounts, Watch Me Sip. I have a website as well, watchmesip.com. Love working with wineries, regions, cheese, any kind of food.
Jeez.
So any partnerships, would love to chat about that. And then I still do some consulting for wineries that need help within marketing, advertising, just chatting through things, as well as social media marketing through Creative Sip Marketing. So that's creativesipmarketing.com.
Cool. Well, thanks for being with us. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person on December 4th at the Sonoma County Fairgrounds in Santa Rosa. I think you're on a really great panel. It's a great topic. We're already seeing the registrations are trending very high for that session. So
Awesome.
I think you're going to have a very full room.
I'm excited. Thanks so much.
All right, Raquel, great chatting with you.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks everyone for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the show. It sure was fun to meet Raquel and learn a little bit more about her. Again, she's going to be speaking at the Wine Industry Expo on December 4th at Sonoma County Fairgrounds in Santa Rosa. And you go to wineindustryexpo.com if you want to learn a little bit more about the session that she's going to be speaking. Once again, thank you for joining us. I hope you like the show and make sure you like our YouTube channel so you get notified for future episodes.